My name is Nicole Marie Campbell, and I am the owner of Designing Artists. This is the show Dripping with Meaning, where we come into actuality about 5D experiences. We talk about spirituality and how that is meaningful in our lives and how spirit talks. I have my co host with me. I'm going to bring her in the room now to everyone that's out there. Hello. And hi, Lee. How are you today?
Oh, hello. I was just sharing. How are you doing?
Good. You're breaking up just a little bit in vocal. Like you're just yeah. So it's the autumn approaching, and we have the equinox and a full moon in just 2 days. Amazing.
I have not. Time slips away from me these days. So I realized we were that close to the equinox or equinox. Everyone is.
Well, the equinox is on the 21st, but the full moon I think comes in just in a couple of days. Yeah.
How's that? Is that any better?
Oh, way better.
Okay. Well, excellent.
So yeah, we're just talking today about having some 5D experiences. That was one of our one of our topic levels was what was my experience and what and how has it been manifesting out. It can go anywhere from just downloads in public for me to messages in public to knowing things are happening before they're happening is another sign of it. And a shocking time for me was at the Timmy's one morning when I went to put my hand on the counter to relax after my walk, and energy just bursted right from my hands and my body and myself. And I looked up at the lady that was behind me and I thought to myself, did she see that too? Or is it just me like seeing that?
Yeah. I mean, the energies right now, it's so fascinating because so many people are getting this complete shift, a shift in their perspectives, a shift in their spiritual practices, an amplification of the messaging they get, the gifts that they have, the way that they connect. I mean, I think that it's obvious even to people who aren't incredibly spiritual that the world right now is in this interesting state of flux. I call it. I've been mulling this over in my head that the whole world is in like a Schrodinger's box, and two realities are like happening at the same time, and it almost feels like the work that we do determines the outcome when we open Schrodinger's box. Is the cat dead or is the cat alive? Are we opening into a utopia or utopic? Happy, peaceful, less war, less violence, less anger, more cherishing of children, more cherishing of our elders, more cherishing of each other, more honoring of the connection. And I believe it's work that you and I and people like us, all of us who are awakening, and all of those who participate in their own religions in a positive, loving way are affecting the energy of the world. And those of us who are in this particular spiritual movement tend to get a lot of our messages and a lot of our transformations, as you were saying, like just randomly from whatever's happening on the other side. And sometimes it's real nice and we can meditate and they give us our nice little downloads and it's all contained and we're able to shake on the floor or cry or whatever. But sometimes it happened, like you said, at the Timmy's, and you're trying to get your Timbits, right? I think call them Timmy's balls.
Yeah.
Timmy bits. And you're trying to get your Timmy bits, and all of a sudden you get a download that sends you into another portal. So what we wanted to talk about here, if you guys are having this experience out there, jump into the chat now if you're here live. If you're not here live and you're doing it on the replay, other people are going to watch this. They're going to see what you're going through. They're going to put their tips. I want everyone to write kind of what they're going through, put your tips to help others. And we're going to chat a little bit about how we both go through that. So when you were in the Timmy, so I'm going to question you. I'm going to get the tea, y'all. So when you were in the Timmy's and you put your hand on the case and you said a thing happened, how did you outwardly handle that? How did you inwardly handle that? And did you feel like you were able to get the full message and still maintain your composure as 3D human while you were doing that?
Yeah, sorry. I it's really messy. So in the murkiness of what my choice lesson was, because the spirit seer, once we're regressing, we're blocking ourselves. We don't get our messages as well, but we also understand that we're kind of being challenged based on the upcoming news. It just seems like once I go through a set of challenges, this whole public, different performance areas, like different people I know intuitively online, or what I'm reading in the media for 5D groups and stuff, it just happens to all filter into what's happening. Like even with, I think it's our astrology right now, that lesson coincides. And I have to do that introspection, and I have to do that gritty self work to figure out where I'm meant to be in station. Because for me, lately, it meant a job change, and it meant lining up for new coursing, and it meant making different time schedule at home and different ways of making money. So in the midst of it all, I just had to keep gritting and bearing with it and really remaining optimistic, because those are just pieces and parts of my history from this lifetime coming into completeness, and me finding completeness in being okay with my experiences in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But how did you react in the Timmies, and how did you move forward? Yes, darling. In public, because I really want us to have some coping tips, like how to move through this, because it's happening to us in very different ways. I don't experience it the same way you do, but
I see
there's
what you're saying.
probably
Yeah.
thousands of people out there. So how did you move through that energy and still maintain your humanness? Or did you need to leave the room? Or how did you cope with that?
I think what I have to do is remain in alignment with my higher self, which is why I was saying, like, it's been hard to get the higher self energy when I'm going through some lower self stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been kind of darker and lonely. I've had more lower dimensional frequencies that I've run into.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what it is it's like we're all kind of like electrical sockets, if you could picture that.
Mm-hmm.
And in that electrical socket that you are, the wiring at one time or whatever in certain areas has been challenged. And so if your lower chakra has any challenges due to this lifetime, due to trauma induced experiences, or due to belief systems, then you're going to have challenges with what it means to you, and then what it means to others to love oneself. Now, did I know going through a first sacral chakra challenge that it was about loving myself? No, I thought that I could go out there and love anybody the way that I wanted to. I could be, involved as I wanted to. And I realized that it's really not even about the chakra, but the breath pattern and how we breathe in the energy into the mind. So I was just kind of not even wanting to deal or cope with that aspect of my life. And it was showing itself in so many different ways. But the morning that the energetic mass hit me, I was in pretty good cheer. And it was more coming from a space of happiness. Like I was really happy to be there. And I personally just was holding that happiness. And then all of a sudden, all that energy just started coming from my body. Like, it was like, be happy, right? Like, could you just be happy? But still, I will go through earthly challenges, right? That's how it
Yeah.
feels to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we're in public and that hits you, did you show anything outwardly? Would the people around you have known what you were going through, or are you able to kind of mask it?
Yeah, I wish to say that I think that I would like everyone to know, and I would like everyone to understand that's a part of myself. It's just a part I want to share, right? That's why I
Mhm.
draw the way I do, and it's the way I think the way I do. And then when I'm shutting down my thinking mechanisms and I'm just an observer, I'm still thinking about how all that's going to come together. Now, I didn't realize that that was the goal.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But I see that I've been wanting that since a very long time. So, yeah, it would be great to turn around and have someone else energetically be there with you and see that what you see and the sacredness of what you see. But that goes back to, are you holding sacred space? Like, are you
Mhm.
holding sacred space in your home? Are you holding sacred space in your vessel? Are you holding sacred space when somebody else is in alarm by not causing your space to be interrupted? Right? It's those things. It's how we're interactive and then how we're interacting. And
Mhm.
then creating understanding, which comes from wisdom and the wisdom to show up and know, you know, the wisdom to continually show up and know this is who you are sharing in this moment and how you're sharing is affecting your vessel, you know, so don't throw your own vessel off.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we got supernatural happenings here from the UK. Hello, how are you tonight?
Hello, hello.
So, and I think that's a good lesson. I think diet has changed. Like it's really in your face. I mean, I asked to be shown what I should be eating and not, and it was
Mhm.
everything I was not wanting to give up,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true because our bodies are designed to work properly with a particular type of fuel. It's like,
Yeah.
we tend to put corn mash and leftover Robitussin in ourselves instead of instead of high premium like 97 octane good gasoline fuel, which
Yeah.
would be, like things that come from the earth and things that are, healthy. Everybody knows the drill, but instead we put things that are mashed up and ripped apart and added chemicals and then stuck back together and made to look like real food. And I think most of us in the first world countries are pretty guilty of that because of the convenience, because of the difficulty of getting fresh vegetables, of getting the good organic or good quality, produce or however it is you choose to eat.
Mhm.
It definitely, it's nice to see an expansion of, like farmers markets and that sort of thing that became very trendy for like the upper middle class to be
Mhm.
very, we're going to eat all organic and I'm going to buy all the stuff at this corner stand where they grow it like 10 feet away, that sort of thing. But for a lot of people, it's not always as accessible. um, so in being in the spiritual world, a
Mhm.
lot of us are for a lot of people, the type of work that we do makes employment challenging. And
Mhm.
therefore, we do tend to always be looking for uh, ways to cut corners. But perhaps food is some place that we should not be doing that because, like you said, it's
Oh,
really
no, definitely
important
not. No, you
when you
wanna
go
rise
through
in
these
that.
downloads.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want your body to be have the right functioning so that when you're channeling messages, so that when you're getting downloads, so that when you're connecting directly with divine, you're able to have a more clear uh, understanding, comprehension of it because you're working properly, your body's working properly, your vessel is working properly.
Yeah, and I think, like, depending on your download of self too, that, like, the consumer rate of food, let's say, is is what it is. It needs to be for everybody involved in what they want to eat that day. But
Mhm.
I think when I pull back and I realize that I probably feel full after like one third of the plate I used to eat, I think we're just going to graduate into a personal less neediness when it comes to it. And I think because it was made so financially abundant, the food industries, that I
Mhm.
think we're looking at the other sense of that lack factor, where there doesn't need to be any lack, but there definitely, I think, doesn't need to be as much food that is not healthy for you in your system. So I was not wanting to give up particular things that I had really just clung to since COVID. And now that I have not had them for 2 weeks, I'm like, wow, okay, it's really revitalizing to my system. And I really believe that every food item as well has the super potency of doing yay or nay for me now. So I take a lot more diligency into my decision making. And I'm quite humbled, I think, more by my Buddhist principles of, you don't need to eat half as much as you're believed into in our
Mhm.
system of thought here in the West.
Yeah. And I've heard a lot of spiritual people talk about losing their appetite for quite a while, going to an all liquid diet, going to all juicing.
Yeah.
People that had been smoking and drinking whiskey, people that have always been like junk food eaters and all that kind of stuff, like are really um, transforming the vessel
Yeah.
almost unconsciously. It's almost a desire, and I know that everyone can't relate, but I would liken it to being pregnant and having cravings.
Hmm.
It's almost that same type of an energy where you almost feel drawn to the healthier, or to not eat, or to fast, or to make different choices without even kicking and screaming sometimes, because maybe you really want to hold on to those bad habits. But so that's check mark number one, something that we can do to navigate these 5D changes that are happening energetically for all of us differently. But if we can get our vessel prepared for it, then we're going to be able to navigate whatever comes next so much better. And I talk to my vessel separately from myself, from what I consider my consciousness, and ask it to work along with me, and ask it to process food properly, and ask it, to work with me. We're partners. I apologize to my body for abusing it for so many years, like it's, it is almost its own self. They say there's another brain in the gut. So perhaps it's literally like a uh, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome thing with the little guy who rides on top of the big guy. And, my brain is I'm the brains, and the vessel is the brawn. And, it may have a small brain, but it has feelings, and I have to be nice to it. So that's a really good way, I think, a suggestion that you made about getting through these moments. And I would say that it's really important. Like you said, you were in a moment of happiness. But if you know that you have these moments where you almost, the world around you transforms, and you're not seeing what's there for a moment, or you're seeing an overlay sometimes, or you start hearing stuff. And I would assume that people who, I mean, I kind of, I don't see in the physical, I see in my mind's eye, but I would assume people who do see in the physical really like have to start to sift through what they see. But so I think that maybe something good to have would be a safe space that you can visualize and go to in a second when you're in public, that kind of resets you,
Hmm.
so that you recognize, I'm here right now. What is happening is an illusion. Stand still, breathe, let it pass. If you need to take a moment, take a moment. But I think having a plan ahead of time before that hits you, and you think you're falling into the donut case, into the land of happy donuts that are, making beautiful psychedelic pictures for you. I don't know, what fully happens in your
It
portal,
is,
but
and it was like that though. So like literally my hand when it went down, it felt like it's like time space changes.
yeah.
And it's non-physical, but it's very brilliant colors. So I feel like I put my hand down and I like just look back up, and the joy of watching all the colors and the arrangement of colors and stuff. Like a lot of people might say, well, maybe you're just seeing something. It was so beyond,
Yeah.
even
They're
when
probably, you're
like
thinking real hard about those donut flavors, is probably what the people around you are
in the
thinking.
contrast, just to talk about the contrast. So when I see
Mhm,
people's souls, or I see
mhm,
things attached to souls like my own that I'm working through, they come in many different rays of shadows too, right? So I can see the light and I can see the dark. I'm not subject to just one subject, and I think that once we can understand that we're the transmitter. So because my joy center was on and I was happy and I was in appreciation, I was radiating self worth.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the energy I think that was transmitting. If I'm feeling down and in a manifestation, let's say that is like against the self being loved, which is taught prevalently, you know what I mean? Like we're all jumping out of a lack of self security into a space of complete personal security, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the emotions that go with that, then yeah, there is a negative manifestation. You know what I mean? Like it's as clear as
Mm-hmm.
day for me. It's not something I tune out and on. But yeah, depending on my emotional state, it changes for sure.
So that's another good tip, is for people to be, when you're going out in public, if you are subject to these types of interludes, attacks, whatever you like to call them, moments where you feel overwhelmed by the 5D,
Hmm.
a good practice would be self-awareness, to pay attention of your mood before you go out in public, so
Mm.
that way, if you are tightly regulating your own space of peace, right, and maintaining your own joy center as you go out through the world to do
Mhm.
things, then you're not going to be uh, what's going to come to you is going to be in this joy center. You're not going to be overwhelmed as much. I feel like you're going to have a better grip on what comes. And I'm always big on, just ask your guides to wait. Like if I have to go somewhere, like if I have to drive, because so every once in a while I have to drive for a little while. And if I'm going to be in the car for quite a while, I usually ask, like, let me focus on the road. Don't give me any downloads unless it's something you can do in the background that's not going to distract me from my human stuff,
Oh, okay.
you know? And so I kind of will instruct, because my guides know me like that.
Mm.
And I talk to them like that, just like it's literally people in the room. So to me, if we're on the same team and they know I need to concentrate,
Mhm.
then, you know, they respect that. Just like if they're talking to me, I have to respect and listen. Like it
And
goes
doesn't
both
that
ways.
just sound like human reality? I mean, that in a nutshell, if you go into as above, so below. So if you're going to get into divining, or you want to understand more about the power of divining, you have to first understand as above, so below. And what that means is everything you're generating on this level, and that's been generated in the experience of existences, is happening on another level. Right. And when I first heard it, I just thought about the microcosm and the microcosm, and how, like, how can that be? How can they be having, because I didn't even believe at that time, there was entities on other levels, or nor was I seeing them, you know. And so now that I understand that these entities are in a vibration as well, I take it as frequency, and they're
Mhm.
able to have that level of understanding at that frequency. That's where we're going. The 5D is about frequency. It's about understanding your attunement is what you're tuning into in self, which you've arrived for. You have come to this planet to be in that next level of self, and you're dissipating your 3D experience through this vortex of molecular change. Like your blood levels change, your body changes, you gain weight this way and not anymore. Like going to the bathroom is such a thing now. I'm like, I can't believe how often I feel like I need to go. I feel like I'm made of more water. I don't know. And so,
Mhm.
like, I see it as a bodily changes, and I also see it as that a normalcy, that these energies that are hitting, that anyone that goes through downloads knows that they're very uncomfortable, and they are changing your homeostasis. They're changing your body, right?
Mhm. Mhm. And yet, I will quote Russell Brand. I don't agree with him on everything, but if everything here is an illusion,
Hmm.
right? A script, a story, something that we all agreed to come down here and do and not remember that we agreed to come down here and do this for
I
10,
love
20,
that part.
30,000 years. I don't know how long we're doing this. I feel like if enough of us shift our own frequency, that we're going to pop into like the next level of the video game, whatever it is that we're doing collectively together, right?
Yeah.
But for this moment, Russell Brand says, once there's a process that happens when you recognize that everything around you is an illusion, that's a crumbling down,
Right.
and then there's a building up when you recognize that you agreed to come down and play, and pretend like it's all real.
Mm.
And how you decide to play with it is up to you. And
I
so
mean, yeah, because you're
that's the
crumbling
trick.
into the crumbling is just so right from 3D to 5D. That's exactly what it's like. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're very uncertain in some regard of like what that next moment you may have to embrace, but you have to just keep plugging right up the mountain, you know, and embracing those around you, taking your nuggets, taking your lessons, and allowing yourself even the gratitude of communicating what you're seeing and what you're doing. Because there's a part of freeze, which everyone knows, flight, flight, and freeze, that I do that is such an ill manifestation that when I get really excited to share, it helps dissipate all of that waiting. You know what I mean? We're all longing to go home. We're all longing to be heard, but we need to vibrate in this vessel who we are unconditionally to ourselves while we're living in a codependent society, when we're living in a society that's filtered with illness, where there's negativity facing us consistently. And no one says, oh, I'm just going to go out and, as I say, I'm spiritual backpacking, you know, get ready for that. Everybody just sort of takes it as common space that negativity is part of our media produced reality. And I think that's where we're failing. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we do need to spiritual backpack and understand oneself on the inside so that as we're approaching these realities that are, as you said, manufactured around us or whatever you want to say, contributed of that entity's awareness is what I'd say. Well, I don't have that awareness and I don't particularly agree in that awareness. And I really don't think that's necessary for my world. How do we
Mm-hmm.
communicate that, right? And the cards give us such a leeway in order to understand that divining is happening whether someone is in agreement or not. It's
Mm-hmm.
always happening. So
Mm-hmm.
letting other people own their lessons is like, oh my God, really? Like every light worker's dream.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, I don't own your stuff. I don't know anything about you. And whenever lifetime you're ready for that, you can do that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
I don't know. I think we're not seeing any of our usual crowd. I don't know if it's because of the timing we chose, but there's only one notable supernatural happenings in. So I think what I'd like to do is that we do a like a full moon reading, like something that's based on what's coming up, get some answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you say is coming up? Is there a full moon coming up?
Yeah, the full moon is, I believe, Scorpio, Pisces,
So what's our
Scorpio,
next big thing?
Scorpio, I believe. So, full moon. Well, I mean, what is the full moon? Full moon for the date of 2022. And while I'm doing this, I feel like I'm on Star Trek Enterprise. I don't know why. It's the phone.
Started.
uh, yeah, it is. It's the moon phase. I read it all earlier. We can ask. And it's funny, it will bring to the exoteric before the esoteric. And like it'll bring the physical reality before the astrology comes
Oh,
second.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
In
Yeah,
like,
one of the things that I wanted to touch on while you're looking for that is you were talking about, we look around and we see this and we see that. And
mm,
the people who, I'll just share this, Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot, about
yeah.
being able to see a reality that doesn't exist yet or doesn't exist in the 3D space that you're in right now, and
Mm,
to believe that the reality that you don't see is your reality, and to hold on to that vision as you pull the reality that you're in to match that vibration that you're living in, I mean,
yeah.
that's obviously a rough a rough example of it,
Yeah,
then
but
I know that's very difficult because we often allow everything around us to dictate our mood, to dictate how we feel, how our home looks, where we live at, where we're going. We allow that to dictate our moods. And so it's so important for us to start recognizing those external things that affect our moods, that affect how we move through the world, because the external stuff is an illusion, right? And we want to make sure that we're getting our mood from within and our
yes,
peace from divine, not because we're having a good day, not because I made a good coffee this morning, not because my house looks nice or my house looks crappy. I don't want the external to determine my internal world, you know?
that's beautiful. Yeah, so that the internal is a part, and like you can play between the external and the internal, but knowing that your internal is so important to your external as well, right? So we're going into Scorpio horoscope today, and it's your finances are doing well. So just so you know, I'm reading off of a website by, it looks like astrosofa.com, not my usual.
Mhm.
So positive attitude enables you to work well with others. Your own priorities are much clearer, give you a distinct advantage. The way you cooperate with colleagues, provide the necessary space, needs for you to focus on your goal. You'll be able to be in a lucky position in relationships, but and also in dreaming, but actually actively living it out. So this is going into the physical. So taking the dream state and then realizing that you can manifest it in your waking state and staying in that space where you know you're conquering both. Like you're conquering from the inside, you're also deliberating on the outside based on your own benefits of self and finance, I guess is what I'm hearing. Wishes
Yeah.
are being fulfilled in a case you're thinking about the never ending story once in a while. You should give it, oh my God, it says you should give in to being enchanted.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
I
you were
love
saying,
it.
yeah.
Like for me, enchant, I said it 3 times. I was like, I
Mhm.
sat somewhere and I was like, okay, fine, enchant me then. Cause like sometimes you feel like just giving up because the negativity around you, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like, wow, like how much power do I have to assume in my self preservation and happiness in order to see something magical happen around me? And
Yeah.
I think what I'm hearing here is something magical is happening because you're present, right? And if you're
Mhm.
taking on these vibes, these wonderful Scorpio vibes, you can have a very most wonderful feeling of lucky positioning and experience the intensity and enjoy the support of the stars, right? So it's a
Yeah.
time for being single, apparently. Be prepared for love if you are single. And so it could go on, and we could obviously gesture more about that if we wanted to.
But I heard a lot in my head that I need to do a prosperity reading. And
Beautiful.
so, and one of the things, so I drew a rune in this little book. You know, the spooky stuff is out at the Dollar General store, and I just have to say that I went and got all kinds of spooky doodads to yeah, it's actually salad tongs, y'all, in case you were wondering. It's salad tongs, but I think that it makes a much better bag scratcher. But anyways, so I wrote down a rune in this little book earlier, and like it came to my head with a few other little symbols. So I think it'll be interesting to see what I pull from the bag. So if you are watching this in the future upon the replay, what I'm doing right now is I'm pulling a rune. We're going to pull a few cards. If my co-host feels so drawn, she will pull a few cards.
For sure, I'm
And
gonna participate. Yeah, we're gonna do this
I think we're going
basically
to focus
for
on prosperity, on
prosperity,
abundance.
abundance,
Pentacles would be
plentiful.
what we're looking at. Pentacles, and how we get ourselves into the receiving mode for that. Because once again, it's an energy thing and a believing that
Yeah.
we are worthy of it, believing that the what we see, the big dreams that we see can actually be real, right? But oftentimes we don't know how to get there, okay? The
Mm.
trick is to believe that it's going to happen and don't focus how you're going to get there as much as you focus on it happening. Obviously, you have to take steps. Obviously, you have to learn. Obviously, you have to prepare yourself. But focusing on the destination as an already done thing All you're doing is
No, it'll
preparing
never be
yourself to
done.
be there.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll never be done. But you are already arriving there because that's what you
Hmm.
came for. So the good idea is you can release your own inhibitions of self and realize you are the co-creator of your reality. And everything you do is creating the reality around you. So it makes you quite powerful once you get used to it.
Yeah, for sure. So the rune that I drew is Jira. And Jira is the 1 year cycle. It's the harvest, basically, that we are planting seeds and then we watch it grow and we water it and we let it do its thing and we strategically watch what's happening and we make the plans for what happens when everything gets grown, right?
Yes.
And so the rune that I just drew, we have Sewelu. Sewelu is the rune for wholeness. It's the rune of being whole within oneself without needing, let's not do that on the tripod, darling, without needing to have another person to complete us, connecting that circuit within oneself. It's the spiritual path to be whole within oneself. And yet to also be whole within oneself, and also, my darling, I'm so sorry, you need to go, darling. Yes, you can't push yourself on the little tripod there. Okay, it's getting a real up close look at
The
me.
cat's having a moment.
Yeah, she's being drawn over to me somehow, but so we get this rune for wholeness along with that is really, when we put the two together, about recognizing how it all comes into one thing. This is not for you. How it all comes into one space. How we spend this time
Right.
of this volatile imbalance, what it feels like, learning balance. The best way to learn balance is to stand in the best way to learn
We're
balance is to
getting the kitty
stand.
chaos. We're sorry, everyone.
Right, I
We're
know.
experiencing kitty chaos.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here we
Oh, now
go.
I can see that lovely angel painting. That's beautiful.
Yeah, my friend did that. Okay, point it back at me. Let's see here now. Oh, hold on.
So what I'm getting from this is, you can
Okay.
continue so I can get more.
So the best way to learn balance is to stand where you are not balanced. If you're learning balance, you stand on a ball, you stand on one of those wobbly things, they put you on a really low tightrope, right? So we're standing on a thing that is not balanced right now,
Right.
and we are learning balance. So this is what is coming through with these two runes, is learning balance, recognizing that this is a harvest, that this is a process, that this is something that you do step by step by step in this moment right now. And everything we do in this moment makes a difference.
Yeah. And so in the present moment is where all power exists and all change exists. And actually the mind is directing you through the present moment, whether your mind is allowing you to enjoy it or not. I do believe that stabilizing one's mental state is the most powerful aspect of all life. And what I mean by that is, don't really believe it, just organize it. Organize it to what you want it to look like, what you want it to feel like, what you want your outcome to be, and allow yourself to be present in exactly what you want only, not owning anyone else's experience. And maybe that Scorpio energy on that finance will definitely come through for you, because I can feel it for sure. And we've got Lee working on her cards right now, everyone. So everyone knows she is the master of the tarot. She can tell you and divulge beyond a tale a beautiful, beautiful, it's not even coincidence. It's just like a escalated idea of how many parts of your own reality can change with proper decision making and looking over your challenges.
Okay, so I got a little story here. So the question that I was asking specifically was, how can we stay focused on that prosperity, that abundance mindset? How can we stay in that sort of mindset? And I'm not talking about a greedy money thing. I'm talking about just flow. because
Yeah.
it's about that divine energy flowing through you. So there is no want, there is no need, there is no stress, there is no worry, and it flows. Money is energy, and it comes when I call. It's just another form of energy. So how can we stay in that mindset where it stays just another form of energy and does not become that thing that we put all these labels on of the reason I'm not this, or the reason I am that, or I don't have it, or I do have it, whatever it is. So the way that we're supposed to stay focused on that, I got the Hanged Man. So it shifts your perspective on how you're looking at these finances and how you look at how you plan your finances and change it. That there needs to be a big shift in how we're looking at our own finances.
Mm-hmm.
And that wheel of fortune, it's always spinning. So you never know, literally tomorrow, something major could happen, something huge could happen. If you have a project, you could get something, tomorrow, somebody could order 500 of them. You have no idea what's going to come in your future. So you have to always recognize, rather than falling into nothing's ever going to happen, I'm not doing this right, nobody cares about this, nobody's going to buy this, nobody's going to work this, nobody's going to care about what I'm saying. This wheel of fortune is always spinning. So you have to stay in this boss energy. And this is not the boss bitch, that's the Queen of Pentacles. This is the man who literally has everything and doesn't even think about money. There's a certain level of wealth that once you get to it, you never have a conversation about money again. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's not to say that we're all going to get there, but that's the attitude that we need to have. There's no doubt that the money is coming in. And that is reinforced by this. We have the Six of Swords, which is about going to calmer water, and the Three of Wands, where he's looking out as his fortune comes in. So recognizing that fortune, that is fortune coming to you, crossing in to better waters. You are standing at the precipice looking out. If you can just sit in this energy of shifting how you look at it to energy, money is just energy, and it comes when I call. You have to end all of the stuff in your brain about it not being accessible.
Yeah, because what I'm seeing here is the roots of abundance, and asking it is what it is. So being able to get into the definition of what it is going to be most opportune. So you're going to want to be in the definition of what it is for the self, meaning merging your intention to be at your highest good, to find yourself in the healthiest of conditions, to find yourself in a betterment of self. And that would be helping your roots of abundance, right? So the beautiful tree here, just echoing our safety and security on this planet and our oxygen level, with that being a sacred reverence. But I do see here that there is some shadow work that is definitely being called upon. There is a definite need for getting out of states of manipulation where you're allowing yourself to be manipulated or you're manipulating others, but acquiring knowledge to sort of help tame those insecurities that came with your human life, right? You're human, and those insecurities are really, really normal, So you want to kind of like find those inner reserves of how you're acquiring knowledge for yourself and what you're thirsty for. Are you thirsty for real knowledge, or is it a short end plan that doesn't have a good outcome for you, right? That's just giving you an instantaneous sense of gratification that spirit is calling on, that, you really just don't need, right? There's more to the story, but I feel like you're really getting there with something right now, and I need to hear it. So,
Well, I pulled cards on how to get over the challenges of staying in an abundance mindset, in a prosperity mindset. How to get through the challenge, because every moment we will revert to our old thinking, especially if it's deeply rooted stories about lack, however they weave into your life. And so we have to constantly be shifting that. So my question was, how can we stay in that mindset of the prosperity, of the abundance, of the flow of divine? And we get the other half, the Queen of Pentacles. So now we have the royal couple, both of Pentacles, which is what we said we were going to talk about today. And so she is the boss bitch who puts on her face and shows the world she drips. She drips in jewels. She drips in grace. She drips in
Dripping
style.
everything.
She drips in badass bitchery. You know, that king, he's going to go out in a ripped t-shirt and jeans because he never has another conversation about money and he doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
But she is standing in those riches going, all of you can bow down because I earned this shit and this is mine. So this is the mindset. If you're trying to hold on to this mindset, this is the mindset that you are that badass bitch, that you are that person who is worthy of being dripped in what we imagine to be the riches, even though the riches is really God's love, right? Because all energy,
It's
money is
all
energy,
energy,
gold
it's
is energy,
divine.
it's all
Yeah.
energy, right? So along with that, we pull the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Cups, which aces are always gifts from divine, like a message from divine, and cups are love.
Yeah.
Self-love in this particular case because it popped out with the Ten of Swords, which is bring to an end all the things that have been stabbed in your back. Bring to an end all of the burdens that you are carrying. Bring to an end all of the grudges that you carry. Bring to an end
Yes.
all the ways that you persecute yourself and love yourself through it. And stand in that bad bitchery and say, I am the shit. And this is how we prosper. This is how I stay in that flow. It's an integration with divine. It's not a separate adoring. It is a self-adoring integration of divine.
Where, you know, the selflessness and the humility and action too can come in. Okay, so that's where I was going with that, is that when we're actually in conscious action, it's quite different than what the Shadow Queen and my cards were showing. You know, when we're acquiring knowledge, we're going to get more light energy, we're going to get more awakened energy. But when we're actually in that selflessness, where we realize that our conscious actions are actually creating a life that's worth living, not only for ourselves, but for our communities and people around us, then we're also echoing out what is the word, right? That is love. We came from love and we all will arrive back to that blissful state. We just get to do it this lifetime here in the physical, right? And as you called it, it's God. For some people, it's Buddha. Some people, it's Krishna. But that representation that in the flow of all things, that there is more than enough, and that there is definitely a need to start paying attention to what spirit is communicating with you. So if you're feeling called as well, and if you feel like the call is there for you, that maybe you're getting messaging, or maybe you're seeing the symbolism, as Leah said in other shows, in small things, and you find reverence in that, then there will be, you know, in the end, sacred reverence. Okay. We're coming into the pairing in together of the beauty of consciousness, the one that's within ourselves and the one which created the universe.
Very true. And Scorpio season can be spicy. I believe we're also in a retrograde for about a month. I believe it's until October
No, we
9th.
have been until, we're still going to be retrograde? Really?
I think until the 9th. I
Oh,
think until the 9th. I mean, correct me in the comments, y'all, if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that this is like through the 9th that we're going through it. But it's not a destructive one. From the energy reading that I heard about it is that it's more of a plant your seeds. So this energy of the harvest, it's more about plant your seeds, get your ducks in a row, make sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, because we're going to hit the ground running October 9th. You know, like shit's going to fly. Something's going to happen. It's going to get real, y'all. So that's
yeah.
what it feels like.
So we can go into that state. So where we're actually planting and reaping the seeds that we sow, right? So realizing that the cause and the effect of your actions, who you are, actually actualizing who you are. It's not because it's happening to you. It's because you're putting it together in the way that you want to fashion it and become more understanding of your own innate ability and abilities, or even disabilities, you know, like whatever it is that's coming up for you, it is going to be healed. It is going to be reckoned. And divine has that power, right? If you're lining up for it, you'll receive that healing. If you're not, you're not going to receive it because you're not consciously walking towards and as you had said earlier, seeing it before it happens and really relishing in getting that full mesh experience where the ball is going into the basket is going into the mesh and it's fully boom, it's your reality and you're creating it. By allowing
Yeah.
divine in or access to divine, you realize you're divine as well. And that is what you're created from.
Yeah.
So it's
We
not an
have to
heroic
be,
approach at it.
yeah, we have to be willing to heal the physical. We have to be willing to feel to heal the emotional,
Yes.
because oftentimes our disabilities, our anxieties, our tics, our triggers, whatever you want to call them, they allow us to stay in what can be a self-feeding victimhood state. They can allow us to choose not to do the hard work that's necessary sometimes to heal. They can allow us to stay languid and perhaps lethargic about making change in our lives
Yeah.
because of we make excuses for ourselves, because we use them as reasons. They're very comfortable. We've worn these issues, this programming, these disabilities, these tics, these anxieties, whatever it is, we've worn them for a very long time and they're very comfortable. And sometimes it's more comfortable to keep them than it is to let them go. And yet, in this work that we're doing of integrating, it doesn't make it easy to hold on to them. Because, and not because it says, oh, we need to get rid of it in a nice way. Usually it smacks you in the face. And these things that we're trying to push away come out very strong. And it says, if you're going to be in this space of flow, you got to burn that stuff off. You got to let go of that stuff. You got to get rid of those 10 swords in your back. You got to start looking at these spaces where you're allowing all these things that other people did to you to dictate who you are and what you are in this lifetime, because that's not who you are. It may have helped build you into something strong, but it's
Yeah.
not who you are.
And when we're right in there, I think like, because obviously the power of forgiveness is a wonderful thing, but I think also like in actualization, one of my most prized moments is to look into them and say, thank you for the lesson, but I'm gracious and thank you for the lesson, but I'm good.
Yeah.
And I'm really good that whatever negative occurrence happened at that time for you and I, so myself can meet myself, so I can be more committed and more firm about who I am because I'm number one for me, not
Mm-hmm.
you.
Right. Right. And
Difficult
this is
space
happening
comes.
for my transformation.
Yes. It was about
And
me.
yours is your own. Right. Whatever they're going through, they might be transforming too, but that's none of my business.
Yeah.
I only have to pay attention to how I'm transformed by what happened, not how they are.
Yeah, and I think it goes into honoring your body. I think we spend so much time accommodating it and perfecting it and making it, let's say, as comfortable or not as we possibly can. But I think once we commit that 100 to our physical framework, to our physical self, we have then evolved into the next step because it's that extra sense of appreciation that you're willing to give yourself and feel the extreme abilities that come from facing those areas of your life physically that you may feel are a difficulty.
Mhm.
And I think that once you can face them and you do it daily, then you're adding on to your ability to express your divinity, right? So, like a lot of divine practices are very internalized, but the actual physical method of, like, see, labyrinth walking for me, really, really full of energy and thought and etc. But once I come to the labyrinth, I slowly take in one step and another step to concentrate on my steps.
Mhm.
And then I unfold my own appreciation for life.
Mhm.
And that's a level that's not mental or physical, but it's just a state of awareness that actually is so close to joy and abundance that you're just there. Everything is arriving, right? As you said, because you're taking that one step out of another, realizing those swords no longer need to be in your back. Those swords were meant to be kept there those wounds are now going to heal. Whatever has happened or shortcome you, it's gone.
Right. You have
By
to be
you
willing to pull the sword out of your back and let it heal.
by
Some
not
people
blaming
really want to
somebody,
hold on to their injustices.
not blaming others or society or your past, you're basically initiating contact with the fullness of who you are, because you're not ashamed that you're in the human experience. It's okay. It's okay that you came and you had your baggage, etc. But that shit can't stay with you in order to be healthy and to enjoy who you truly are.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very,
Yeah.
very true.
So, and that would be acquiring knowledge. I love Shadow Queen because although it talks about manipulation, the acquiring of knowledge is the balance of manipulation, because you can take in so much information and think is necessary for your existence. And then you could, because of internet, etc., but then you could just suggest to yourself what is really essential, which for me would be strategic marketing right now, right? Or listening to Dolores Cannon. So picking those apples from the harvest, because we are in the harvest season, and harvesting the inquiring, the knowledge and security of knowledge, so that you don't need to manipulate. Once you're there, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you're passing things off in a positive direction.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got a really big nudge to pull one kitty cat for the room. But
Oh, I
when
love
I opened it up, right on the bottom is the Ace of Cups, which we have pulled 3 times
beautiful.
in this discussion. So they
Yeah.
really want to, if you notice, this kitty is feeding itself. Here, wait, this kitty is feeding itself. It's nourishing, self-nourishing through this flowing water that constantly renews, right? And so this is how we need to be looking at ourselves as we move through this space, is constantly renewing that fresh water, drinking that beautiful water of the light of God, of divine, however it is that you like to refer and worship or, practice, however it is.
Yeah, and again, that's your choice. If you and I hope to the, I'll say, heavens, that it is your choice, because if your lesson came from it not being your choice, that's a whole other bag of worms.
Yeah.
But we can help you with that here.
So we
you
got
can,
this little high priestess and the Ace of Wands. Just
which is
really
why,
telling you to stay with the plan. The high priestess keeps all the secrets, knows all the ways. She's the power behind the throne of the priest. In the tarot, she keeps all of the secrets for everyone. And, that divine energy, aces are plans. Aces are gifts from divine, and wands are like plans. They're like the structure of what we're doing. And so this is really in this prosperity reading that we're doing here, wrapping up this space of, we have the Knight of Wands and the Ace of Wands, bringing a message of really standing firm in the beliefs, in the plan, in the bad bitchery of that Queen of Pentacles, standing in that space and holding the secrets. You don't have to tell everyone how you're moving when you're doing this. You don't need to be broadcasting it everywhere. I mean, unless your business is broadcasting it everywhere. But it's all about being it, not talking about it. It's about doing it, and in this moment, not projecting it into the future, not allowing it to fester and not grow. Rather, taking the moment and just doing it, jumping in.
yeah, and allowing. So I will do as well. Like, I agree with you, because you're going to jump right in there. I'm going to just do like what it would mean to have this. So for me, it would be like, what would it mean to have an affirmation that would conclude our session for today? We changed over our time, and I think our audience is definitely not on this time schedule. A Friday at 6 doesn't sound like it worked, but I think it was a great show. I think it's been a really, really good interconnection. There was one other lady in the, I think it was a lady, I'm not too sure, from Supernatural Healings. I don't know if she's still out there. But we're going to look at, I recognize that I have chosen fear, and I choose again, I choose love. That's perfect. Yes. I recognize that I have chosen fear and I choose again. I choose love. So take those pentacles out with that blessing because that's a perfect way of doing it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. I'm really enriched because I think when we do choose in love and we let go of fear, we can open and broaden our perspective on what in all actuality we want to draw to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because out of fear, we might have been drawing things that are just no longer necessary.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you're a strong manifester and you're thinking is I one of the tarot readers that I watch says stinking thinking, he gets it from someone else. If you're having stinking thinking, like if you're
Yeah.
not if you're a really strong manifester and then you're thinking shit thoughts,
Yeah.
you're going to bring that without even
Oh my
realizing it.
God.
I have a family member who is not super spiritual, but has recognized that they are incredibly strong with their manifestations. And if
Mm.
they think crappy thoughts for too long, they literally make the things they're thinking about happen. But if they think something big, they make that happen. They are literally in the exact job that they talked about 5 years ago as being like the job that they would love to try out and do. They
Yeah.
manifested it. They didn't seek it out. They didn't even remember that they said that to me. So if you are a person who finds yourself doing that, no matter how much or how little spirituality you have in your life, pay attention because you are always creating with your thoughts, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
And I think the bigger
everything.
lesson too could come up. It could be like a thought pattern that started at a particular age or not that might be in those swords that
Mm-hmm.
linked you to those people,
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Whatever the thought pattern is it's coming from a necessity to who you want to be around, to what you want to be around you, to how you want to feel in your environment, to how you want to make that food choice, to how you want to make that car choice, however it is, right?
Yeah,
So it could be an unlinking of a wonderful amount of things that will definitely guarantee you more abundance
yeah,
as you're unlinking and saying, oh, that was just baggage, and neatly putting it away. And I choose love. That was just
yeah.
my baggage, and I
Mm-hmm.
choose love. We all of a sudden got 3 new people up. I don't know. Hello out there. I don't know if it's anyone that isn't
We
at
were
our
just getting ready to get off, I believe.
time.
Yeah, I think we were just finishing up.
But I love it. I think, indulge yourself until you don't have to. And
Mm-hmm.
then find peace within without the indulgence. Like we can
Yeah.
indulge ourselves. Oh, we got a Sherry Daniels. Is that someone you know? Hello, Sherry. How are you
Hi,
tonight?
Sherry.
And Supernatural was on. They spent a bunch of time with us tonight. That's really cool. I like that. There's a ghost in there. That was really cool. But yeah, that unhooking of those knives, like could we even it was 10, right? The number 10. Could we
Yeah,
even go
yeah. It's
into
10 swords in the back.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
she's new here. Oh, thank you, Sherry. Yeah, this is a new time for us actually, Sherry. So we
yeah,
were just trying this time out and hadn't been showing in a while, but we are dripping with meaning and we're both divine channels. We offer readings and as well spiritual enlightenment consulting. So if you're in the midst of a 5D experience while you're in 3D, you can let us know. And I'm at Designing Artist, and Leah's at herunleashyourlight.org, I think it is.
yeah. Well, we've been talking the whole show about ways that you can get through the 5D stuff in the 3D while you're in regular world with all the regular people. So you can go back and watch. We've been talking for like an hour about all the different stuff that we're doing. Sherry, welcome. We're grateful that
Yeah.
you're here. I
Yeah.
I think that those swords, I wanna relay it to if we think of a sword as each time somebody hurt us, as each time, these traumatic events, right? So if we're carrying these 10 swords in our back, that it's time to pull them out, being willing to let go of the grudge holding at them or at ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes something that we did, right?
Yeah.
So if we think about these things that happen to us as a program that isn't finished, with a happy ending. So the relationship with a parent, a traumatic event that happens, if you're not getting justice, you're not getting an apology, you're not getting a finish, you're not getting things to, where everybody loves everyone and happy endings happen in childhood, then that is an unfinished program that we're always looking for the end of the code
Yeah.
to finish that program, like a computer program. We're always looking for the person that's going to allow us to finish that unfinished business, that unfinished problem, that sword in the back of this issue that happened, that is now attracting over and over again the same situation with a
Yeah.
different face, the same
But it
situation.
isn't even the situation. So what I've learned is that the situations will continue to arise, but your inner world is the only thing that can ever truly change. You
Yeah.
will never, ever, depending, no matter the attraction, no matter the justice or the injustice, you will always have to be aware of your inner world. And if your inner world becomes your greatest priority, your inner world will never, ever feel the same again. Once you do that really good inner child work and you can look at yourself and give yourself the love necessary that maybe a parental force or somebody within society was unable to grant you, right?
Yeah.
But or in regards to a religion, that too might have been unfulfilling.
I truly believe that making that change within affects the world around us.
So Sherry
Thousands.
wanted a reading. I don't know. Do you feel like doing a reading?
Sure, I'll do a reading.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so everything that I say to you comes from unconditional love. I don't know you. I'm not coming for you. There is no judgment here, only unconditional
I'll be
love.
right back, okay?
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and pull for you. I'm asking what the universe wants you to hear. And so we have pulled the fertility rune. Now, fertility doesn't necessarily mean being born. It doesn't necessarily mean birth, but it can mean birth of a new way. This is the Ingus, and it is fertility and new beginnings. And this is the rune of the completion of beginnings. It can speak of a new life and a new path. And it talks about completion being crucial. So it's very important, and I'm getting this as well. It's very important for you to finish something that you're working on, to finish some project that you have put off. Let me grab my deck here and grab a couple of cards for you. It's really focused on the birth of a new thing. I don't know that that's the birth of a new person or a new relationship, but it really feels like the birth of a new way of life or a new way of living. So tell me what she needs to hear. Tell me what Sherry needs to hear about this. All right. Tell me what Sherry needs to hear about this. Okay. All right. So this is my vintage deck from 1984. And when I asked what you needed to hear, Sherry, first of all, the first thing that came out is the Six of Rods. That's victory. You can see they have the victory shield, or the little, what is that, the olive leaf ring? I forget what that's called. I know it's got a real name. And they are riding into victory, or they're riding home after their victory. So this is the first thing they want you to know, is that you are completely protected and that your success is assured. So know this as you go into it, because that is the message of truth that the universe wants you to know, that you are 100% assured of your victory in this space. If you stick to the plan that divine gave you, this is the Ace of Rods or Ace of Wands. And so you need to stick with the plan that divine gave you. Divine gave you something very specific to complete, and they gave you a very specific way to do it within yourself. And you got to stay in that badass energy, that bad bitchery. The Queen of Pentacles comes up once again, because we've been pulling on prosperity and how we can move for that in this energy of the Scorpio time in our horoscope. with a little bit of retrograde, a little bit of full moon thrown in. So if you want to replay it, you can go back about 20 minutes. And this is what's coming up for you, is really knowing that you are assured victory. It's a lot about plans. It's a lot of rods / wands here. It's a lot about plans. So know that the plan is good, that you're supposed to stick with it, and that is the message that you're getting, is that your victory is assured. So stay with it.
There you go. And so can I take you from the space of thinking, Sherry? And I just want to contribute, because we want to go from what you think into what you actually intuitively are going to allow your mind to tell you. So we're going to try, because I feel compelled, because I just want to take you from that thinking space, which can sometimes be a dangerous space, but let's look at like actually what your heart is saying more. Let's look at maybe a message that divine might have for you here, some things to look at that might allow you to spur into, what is this health concern, right? Where did it come from? What's the underlying current of where this health issue might stem from? Okay, so that you understand you're in safety, you're in good hands, and divine is always with you, and so you can make this decision for your wellness for yourself. So okay, I'm hearing, I'm hearing that there's a necessity for you to definitely be opening yourself to some discovery. There's something for you to look at, but that would be through your own quieting of your thoughts, so that you can sort of take apart what emotionally is being charged in your thinking, and not rely heavily on the thinking, but become more happier. I'm hearing happier about your present state, so that you can alleviate where these uncomfortabilities have come in. And then you can let divine do some work with you too, through showing you what the best route of passages is to help you. I just want to see, as you're opening to this discovery, it's a well within yourself. And that is a new discovery for you, because through that raw awakening of your emotion into something maybe on a more positive note, you're going to unlock some of that energy, which is causing you some issues. So, yeah. Oh, okay. So I want to let you know that there's angels that do want to be in your presence and that are in your presence. And I hear Raphael was what was given. So Angel Raphael is here to be a part of yourself in your healing process. And that accessibility is just a part of your mind state, in whatever form that could come in for you. You can accept that angelic embrace, because miracles will happen with that. And there is a sort of attachment that you have to some things of the past that's sort of spearing maybe what feels ill for you, or what the problem is. A bit of scarcity in your consciousness, meaning that a sense of lack may be stimulating some of those negative emotions that we're talking about earlier. But that it's up to you to really get these details together, but relying more on the divine power within, and calling on source, calling on God, calling on guides, calling on those that want to step into the circle with you to see a full healing for yourself. So, yeah. Yeah, it's through yourself that you actually have to do the recognizing, but I definitely feel Raphael is there. And so the angel Raphael, if you want more guidance on that, I can tell you through my studies what that's like. You can contact me, Designing Artist, on my site. And you can message me about speaking to me personally. But and then I could probably further go into this with you. And she says, thank you very much. Thank you, Sherry. Yep. And it can be, any of our services can be by donation as well. Like, so if you feel the need to donate, or to, if you want a one-on-one, there is a sliding scale that we can look at in order to get and to have some assessment, to understand just where you're at in your process. Yeah. So that was nice. I guess she entered in here at about 7 o'clock. So that was great. Did you have anything else you wanted to conclude?
That's it. I'm ready for the sign off if you are.
Are you? Yeah, we have been on here for about the last hour, but it's been a wonderful hour of expressing spiritual divine power and understanding what it means to go through this time into 5D.
All right, beautiful. Well, we'll see you next time, whenever that is. And know until we see you again that you are beloved, you matter, and you are so very loved.
Namaste, everyone. Good evening.